Hey there, and welcome to the People Who Help People podcast. This is the spot for HR and people ops pros who are all about building better businesses by putting people first. We chat with founders and experts who've been there, done that, and are generous enough to share what actually works. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everyone. Today I'm happy to be speaking with Keith Seagraves, President of Global Recruiters of Memphis, about future-proofing HR and recruiting in the age of AI. Keith refers to himself as a firefighter, captain in the U.S. Army, veteran, husband, father, scout leader, coach, son, friend, entrepreneur, sales and marketing leader, executive success coach, author, mentor, consultant, and trusted advisor. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Thank you. Could I add any more titles to that?
You certainly can. You certainly can. I thought it was a great list. And there's several that you and I have in common. Both U.S. Army captains, veterans, husbands, fathers, scout leaders, sons, friends, entrepreneurs, you name it. So lots of similarities. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nice to be here.
So Keith, tell us a little bit about some of your work roles. Tell us about your job as the president of Global Recruiters of Memphis. And I think you also have another organization that you are at least listed on LinkedIn.
Yes. So started the recruiting firm after the corporate time in running different sales teams. And so I've been doing recruiting about 12 years, a little over 12 years now. Focus, I have two areas of focus. I'm in consumer packaged goods and packaging. And then I have another side that works in consumer electronics, more technology, a lot more engineering, technical roles on that side. So we got two spokes, if you will. The other side of what I do is executive coaching. And in the coaching, I look at it as more of, really talent development, because we can do the recruitment, but we also do the coaching and mentoring and developing. I can help with leaders that are, moving into management positions and coach them in that transition, or if they're taking on a bigger position. So I do that. I come alongside HR professionals to be able to look at how can we better support those transitions. And then I work with a lot of clients outside of that are entrepreneurs, independent business owners that are, trying to overcome certain obstacles. And a lot of times it's just, particular blind spots that we hadn't identified until we understand something's not working and we got to figure something out different. And I think by having a conversation, and that's where really I think where we come alongside is really a thought partner with our HR professionals or the C-suite, because we can help through asking questions in a non-confrontational environment where they can start to explore different ideas and concepts, even if it's talent. If they want to add a resource to the team, what does that look like? What problem are we trying to solve? So I think we take a little bit different approach in our recruiting process that way. And really, what I call kind of service after the sale, we're alongside the client and the candidate through the process, and we're there to be able to help with some of those hurdles that come up when we make transitions. You think about it, transitions in career, emotionally impactful, almost as getting married or a death in the family. And especially if you're the primary breadwinner and you go into transition, you go through a lot of different thoughts and a lot of challenges and a lot of doubt and questions. So having someone come alongside, or even someone who steps into a new role, or even in the C-suite, being able to help them, those are kind of the areas that we focus on.
How do you split up your time and the time of your team? Rough percentages between those different buckets.
I'm an owner operator, so I'm heavily involved. I try to spend probably 20-30% of the time on the background stuff, the back office type stuff, and the rest of the time I try to spend with business development, clients, candidates, having conversations, understanding what's going on in the marketplace. Added a little nuance to that is, in part of that, I have to include really marketing, because that's what we're engaged in, trying to gain new business, and using AI as a resource really has helped us increase our ability to develop marketing material and get it out in different media platforms. And that's been a huge help because there I have a thought partner. I use AI as a thought partner. So I take that 70% and I divide out some of that from a marketing standpoint because some of it goes from talking on the phone to actually developing collateral, getting email communication out, posting on LinkedIn and other places.
So, in terms of our topic, future proofing HR and recruiting in the age of AI, what I hear you saying is not only are you a thought partner to your clients, but AI is a thought partner for you. That AI is
Absolutely.
that you're using AI as your partner in streamlining your marketing efforts, your outreach efforts, you're finding that next client, find the next opportunity to coach, perhaps.
Yes. When we first got introduced to AI, it was a little interesting to understand how to use it. And I think that, like anything, the better input you give it, the better output you're going to get. And I've worked with a couple of coaches on how do you frame your questions to AI, then provide the information you want it, and then you get your result. So I could say, as a recruiting executive, help me develop um, marketing profile around this particular candidate. I take their name off, but just their background and history. And it can create I'll ask it to create a summary, 4 bullet points, and boom. And then all I have to do is edit. And that's the thing I love about one of the things I love about AI is when it comes to creation, I'm a little slower and it takes more time because it's the ideation standpoint that you go through. But when it comes to editing, well, I can edit like nobody's business, because I've got something to work with. But also, I can ask AI, help me identify companies in a certain marketplace where this skill set would be beneficial. Now, it hasn't gotten to the point to where it can give me the individual names and contact phone numbers, which would be awesome. But it does identify companies that either have that type of talent or could use that type of talent in their companies. So I have a target, someplace to go after and have conversations. It also does market research. I can have it give me an update on industry research that's happening in the plastics manufacturing arena, for the last 60 days or 90 days. You could also, what type of challenges are companies facing in this environment today? And I can put some parameters in there and it gives me information back. I did one thing today where I asked AI, it was ChatGPT, is one of them that I use, to create a SWOT analysis for a company. And I'm using that SWOT analysis with a candidate to help them develop questions as they're evaluating this leadership opportunity with the company. Because I don't know what to ask all the time, but through AI, it stimulates a conversation between me and the candidate so that candidate is better prepared for the conversation. I have hiring managers that do the same thing. I can write a job description for a client and send it over to them and let them edit it, and they love it. So there's other uses and there's other engagement that we have, but I think it just allows us to show up better in what we're able to do and deliver to our clients and our candidates.
You're using a great prompting habit, which is when you provide some additional context to your prompt. The context is you are an expert at this. Now help me with this. That's it. That is absolutely a better practice. I heard you mention ChatGPT. Are there other tools besides ChatGPT that you're using, or is that your primary partner at this point?
I use ChatGPT. I use Gemini. I probably use Gemini more than Chat. And I use Claude AI. And Claude, it seems to be a stronger writing partner as you're writing material and creating material. And then I will use something I created in one and go check it and have it edit in another one just to see if I get a different response. I may take and ask for hashtags, let's say, on an article or a post on one of them that I didn't ask on the other one and feed it in and see if it, and then I'll use one to create prompts or teasers for an article that I created on another platform, and I'll bring it into it. So I bounce back and forth. I only have one paid version; the others are free. And I only went to a paid version recently. This is the lowest level on Chat because there were some things I could do on Chat. And I even have AI creating images for me for posts that I'm putting out on LinkedIn and then for articles as well.
So it sounds like you're using it pretty extensively for social media as well.
Yes. for social media. I'll have it write email campaigns for me. I've even had it write scripts, as a executive recruiter, and I'm going to present this candidate or profile this candidate to a client, and I put it in there. What would be the talking points that you would want to hear if you were the CEO of that company? And it just gives me some feedback to play with. It also gets me out of the rut of saying the same things over and over again that I think makes me a little more interesting, hopefully, than my normal routine.
Any way that you can show interest in the client, that you can understand what's going on in their worlds. That's why I liked what you said about the current research and the SWOT analysis. It just makes you a better representative on both sides, representative of the candidate to the business and the business to the candidate. So I think that's a smart use. How much time would you say it saves you? Does it save you time?
It does save me time
Okay.
because I wasn't doing it before because I didn't have the time. So I've been able to become much more active in social media and promptings. And part of that is there's some research out there that I'm not sure of, but it says that 5 years ago, it would take us 6 to 8 touch points to be able to have them be aware of who we are and what we do. And then within a couple more, have a conversation. So less than 12. Now there's research out there that says it's taking closer to 18 touch points.
Wow.
To be able to get to that same opportunity to have a conversation. Now that's on the client development side. Candidates, it doesn't take as much, but candidates, because of the generation differences and their comfort level with different mediums like texting, you have to reach out different ways. You have to communicate different ways to get candidates to engage. And it just depends on where they're at and what they're doing, and what stage they're at as well. I'm texting someone, can you create a quick little text to get my point across so I can engage them? And then I can go send a text. So it varies, but it does save time. I think we're much more active in that space. And I think it's the being visible in a collateral way versus a direct way through social media helps build our brand, helps build awareness. And I can also make reference to an article I just posted or a LinkedIn post or some type of communication that if they want to learn more, they can go look, or they can go to my LinkedIn page and look at my posts or find an article.
You said 18 touch points. So tell me a little bit more about how that's changed either likely your outreach, finding new clients. You mentioned email campaigns before. Are you doing automated email campaigns? How are you affecting that outreach without being annoying?
So yes, there are AI platforms that we're using that help with automation of marketing campaigns. I have one ATS system that we can do initial, and we're hoping that they update that. But there's other systems you can get into, and I don't know if you want names of them, but there's other systems that you can get like DuckSoup, Loxo. There's others that once you have the information captured, you can you can create 7, 8, 10, and they're designed to once they reply, they stop. So they don't get any more of the contacts that way. It goes to conversation. 2 years ago, that wasn't so. And I would have these automatic emails going out, and then I'd get responses from executives saying, we've already connected, or, why am I still getting this? And it was just working through the bugs on some of the automated systems that we're tying into. There are systems out there that are in place that help. I think being able to create it from one system that monitors it, even to the point of, I don't think this exists yet, but it would be lovely if it did. My LinkedIn, if it could send out I send my communications, first 3 communications, if it goes and looks at the LinkedIn profile, so it shows I looked at their profile, and then creates some type of comment about their profile for me that I don't have to go create, and sends it to them. Hey, I saw on your profile that you're a West Point, graduate, served in the Army too. Something where there's a connection, because if that's right at the top of the communication, they're more likely to look at it, at least give it a little bit of a screen. And we've also found that most people screen, they can see the first couple of sentences, even if you're reviewing on your phone. And we're finding that the younger generations are doing a lot of their reviewing on their phone. So we have to be to the point right up front as the vehicles have changed. But yes, there are automated formats for us to do that, and they're getting better. They are getting better.
So you said sounded like you've found a single platform from which you do a lot of your work. And if I may ask, I always love it during case studies or podcasts when somebody says, here's the tool I use, because many of us encountered these different tools, but it means so much more when somebody says, I'm having luck with this one. So if you're willing to share, I don't think it's going to put you at a competitive disadvantage, but I think others who are listening might want to know.
Yeah, Duck Soup has been really one of the first ones we went to, and been able to work with them and adapt as they continue to adapt and grow. Luxo, LOXO, is another one that we've played around with, and it has a little bit more robust. It's more integrated ATS system, an applicant tracking system. So it's a little designed a little bit differently. I'm drawing a blank. There's another one that we've tested. There's a number of them out there that they'll offer a test, and I would definitely take the test, see how it works, how it gets set up, how it integrates the information it pulls back to you, that type of thing. Hire Easy was another one. That's what it was. I think it was Hire Easy. They're an applicant tracking system. They have a system where you can also search talent. I think Loxo does the same thing where you can search talent, whereas Duck Soup, I don't think, has evolved to that capacity yet. It's more taking and automating off of it. And a lot of these are tied into LinkedIn, but I don't think they've had the robustness of sending the communication. Now, one of them I think is starting to do that, where you can send, I looked at your profile, but not creating a message for you.
So you said, I tried the test. Are you trying all these things yourself? Do you have somebody on your team who's kind of figuring out the technology?
We try it ourselves. I try it. I'll have somebody else in the office try it, but if I'm going to invest in it, I want to know what it does and how it works. And if I can't use it, that's going to be a challenge because I need to be able to understand it, work with it, use it, and then teach it to others. When I bring on team members, I need to be able to take them through. Here's how you set this up. Here's how you connect this back. And some of these have features where I could have someone send it out on my behalf. So my signature block still shows up, but I have somebody else doing the work, but it's linked to my information. So it makes it a little easier. So I don't have to get involved in everything. And that's what I'm trying to look for by these different systems is how can I free myself up to do other things? It's important to connect with people, but I want to have the conversation. And that's the thing that I don't think anything you do with AI is going to change from a recruitment or an HR standpoint is you still have to have a conversation. There are nuances that come across either visual clues, audio clues, or otherwise that you can pick up on that I don't think AI is staying close to yet. Can it get there? It may get there, which is scary.
Interesting that you say it. Two quick stories. One, I'm speaking to several recruiters on our podcast and others in the HR consulting space. And universal, as we start talking about AI, the ones that are having the most success are trying a lot, like you said, seeing how it works, understanding how it works, understanding how it fits in their business, but using it to augment the work that we already do as experts. It doesn't replace it. Somebody said, well, it's a resource. It is not the source. And it just allows us to get to those conversations we want to have sooner, better informed. So it sounds like you're down the right path to leveraging it well to future-proof your business.
Absolutely. Well, it builds our brand awareness. It makes us sharper and better in what we do and how we engage. It gives us better understanding of our clients. Instead of me having to go out and pull a profile, I can ask for AI to give me a quick profile, on the company, the leadership, or something like that. And just, I can be better prepared for my conversations. If there's something going on or if there's a trade show, what were some of the key highlights that came out of the trade show? What innovations came out of the trade show? All that stuff's being posted. I can't follow it all. I can't keep up with it all, but I can get a recap afterwards. I will tell you something else that AI, I think, and this is, I'm also a health and well-being board certified coach. One of the things that we see on that side is a level of awareness and understanding of what's going on from a health perspective. And I don't know how many times you go and get a blood test. We all get the results back from a blood test, and we're like, okay, doc, what is it? One of the things I found interesting is I took my blood results, the blood test results, without my information, my name and stuff at the top, plugged it into AI and asked it to review it. What questions should I ask my doctor? And what type of next steps could I take to help improve in any particular areas that I need to improve in? And it's amazing. It'll go through it and it'll ask you, do you want me to put together a physical fitness routine for you? They'll take 30 minutes every couple of days. I'm like, okay, you can do that. You can create a full routine, but it also takes that scientific data, breaks it down into, okay, so what does your A1C at this level truly mean? And what are some natural ways that you can go after improving that? And those conversations, they happen like seconds in the doctor's office. But when you're sitting back at home and you've got your results and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And so, and that's one of the things that's why there's health and well-being coaches now. We're supporting, there's only about 15,000 of us across the US, and we're supporting the healthcare arena. So doctors don't have that time. Nurses don't have as much time, but a health and well-being coach can come alongside and help. What's the strategies that you want to employ based on what you've learned? And we guide them on how to find additional information about what it is that they're either diagnosed with or they has been brought to their attention. And I encourage them to use AI. AI is easy, it's free, ask it questions, and that way they're engaged in the solution versus someone telling them what the solution is. And I think that's where we often get hung up is people are telling us things, but we're not as engaged in the solution process. And there's no skin in it for us.
Love.
Sorry for that
No,
sidetrack.
no, no. It's a perfect. It's a great sidetrack because we're business professionals, but we're people, and we have to take care of ourselves. And we have to take care of others who work with us. And so I'm particularly interested in the prompt that you used when you loaded up your blood test because I've heard other people mention that, but I stopped thinking about it. But now that you've said it again, I need to do that. But I also recognize that there's a specific prompt I need to ask. Like I think I heard you say, please analyze these results. What have I missed? What can I do to improve my numbers? If there's anything else that should be in that prompt, please send it to me because I want to use that. I've got a
Okay.
few years worth of blood test results that I'd love to run through that. But then I also liked what you said about first we use AI to generate that analysis. It's more in depth than we can get at the doctor's office, but hopefully complementary. Second, it helps you ask the right questions of your primary care physician or your trusted health advisor. But third, don't stop there. Typically, the ChatGPT or other tools will say, would you like me to come up with a plan? And that's where keep asking questions. What subtle changes can I make to my diet? What else should I be doing from an exercise perspective? I really like that recommendation.
I find it's helpful. I had a friend of mine who had mentioned this too, and he went through and had ChatGPT create a 30-minute workout plan specific for him based on what he wanted. And I think this is the other thing that we forget is because AI has a reference database it's pulling from, you can ask AI to interview you. And we've done that several times as a prompt. Ask AI. So, can you please interview me as if you're a fitness coach and you want to create a health plan for me? Ask me the questions to help design that plan. And it'll ask you, do you have any injuries? Do you have any areas that we need to be aware of? Just like a regular personal trainer would be. But you have to tell it to do that. And then you follow through and let it interview you. I have another coach that I work with, and she's brilliant at this in creating prompts. And she's very polite to ChatGPT. She says please and thank you like it's a person. She taught me that, and I got used to doing that. So I do. Could you please create? It's not like it's going to come alive and do something to us, but it doesn't hurt, and it's just it's a relationship.
Sure. Sure. So here's the second story. I discovered that Grok this week. Do you know Grok? Have you used Grok at all?
I've not used Grok at all.
Okay.
No.
Grok is Elon Musk's company put out a tool called Grok that's equivalent to Claude and OpenAI or ChatGPT. But one of the features in Grok is they have a voice that will speak to you. At the moment, I think there's at least 4 or 5 personas. I've discovered Ara, Eve, Sal, and Rex. And there's one called Gork that's interesting. But in any event, they have different modes. And one of the modes is a therapist mode. And I encourage everybody who's listening to this, suspend your preconceptions about the founder and try out Grok and try out one of these voices in one of those modes. It is very conversational, and the therapist mode gives some deep and insightful recommendations that are as if you're talking to a therapist. It even speaks in, I think, over 100 languages. So you can have it teach you languages, or you can converse with somebody in another language. Now you have to say, Rex, please say the following and ask the following question in Italian or Spanish, but it will come back with that question in Italian. The other person can answer in Italian and it will translate back to you. Now, I know there's other tools that are starting to do the real-time translation, but I was struck by the conversational nature and the different modes. There's a kids storytelling mode, there's a therapist mode, there's a general assistant mode. And I just discovered that this week. I happened to drive a Tesla and they turned on that feature in my Tesla and I hit the wrong button and suddenly the car's talking to me. But it's very fascinating for those who use AI and like what AI can do. It's a fascinating use case.
That's very interesting. And I think it's great to have as a resource, to have that, be able to have a dialogue, because I think conversationally we all communicate better and different, easier than writing, and it's easier than putting prompts. So having it where you can speak to it and it can speak back to you, I think is great. I am seeing articles where they're talking about how it's becoming like that's their go-to, and they're not talking to other humans. I kind of wonder about how is it going to impact, how we engage with people, because it's a system that's different and it's built on certain parameters. And then you have to navigate life around people and their personalities and all the other attributes that come with us. And we all have our own baggage and history. It's, I don't know if it has that, but I do see that it could be a safe place to test, understand, ask questions, and engage in a safe environment, and then take those tools like you talked about earlier out to the street and engage. That's interesting.
You should try it. I heard a interesting story this week. I was listening to a webinar, and the woman who was running the AI, they were talking about AI use in HR. And she said, my daughter came home. I think her daughter was about 11. And there was two other girls with her. And they were all giggling. And they got a text from a friend. And that friend was sad about something. And they were about to respond. And one of the girls said, hold on, put it into Chat GPT. And they formatted a more thoughtful response, a more thoughtful text back to their friend by using Chat GPT. Their friend then responded with opening up even more. And this mother observed these 11-year-olds using basic prompting to have a more thoughtful and warm discussion with a friend in need. And I really like that, because oftentimes we think about the bad things that can happen, and yet there's wonderful things happening every day. And you gave many examples throughout this podcast of ways it's helping you be a better leader, coach, friend, advisor as you go. Keith, we're running short on time, so I could go on all day about this, but I think out of respect for your time and the audience, that we'll wrap it up. Keith, if folks like things they heard today and would like to know more, maybe more about the tools that you're using, about Global Recruiters of Memphis, just speak to you. How should they reach out? How can they get a hold of you?
Love to have the conversation. LinkedIn You can reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. My email is on there. It's actually in my header, and my phone number is in my header on LinkedIn. So both of those, you're welcome to reach out, connect, have a conversation, send me a message either way, and we can continue the discussion. If you got specific questions around tools or something, I'll respond. Now, it may take me a couple of days to respond because I am working my day job. So, but I appreciate the opportunity and thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much. Take care, Keith.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too.